Caffeine, is it a bunch of BS? Welcome back to part 6 of our supplement education series, where we talk about supplements and supplement ingredients, some of the claims up there about them, and we see what the scientific literature has to say about it. This one was a little tough because caffeine is often in multi-ingredient supplements, especially pre-workouts, and it's hard to separate out the claims when we have a bunch of different ingredients going on. So we're looking at claims on strictly caffeine. Energy and focus, endurance support, energize your workouts, restore mental alertness, boost energy and endurance, improve focus. Focus, performance, energy. Endurance we can measure, but focus and energy are a little wishy-washy, kind of self-report, and also notice that we didn't see claims about strength. There is a ton of research on there about caffeine and performance, so we're going to save a little time here and knock out the alertness and focus aspect. This is just a review and meta-analysis, but basically when people take caffeine, we see increases pretty much across the board in their self-reported focus and alertness, which are oftentimes treated as the same thing, and their self-reported energy. Typically, we don't treat self-reported things as the best level of evidence, but in things that are subjective, like focus and attention and how much energy you feel like you have, it's basically the only option. As far as strength and endurance, here we have a study with 16 healthy trained men who are used to caffeine. These guys were consuming an average of 411 milligrams per day. Don't worry, we're going to talk about habitual caffeine intake and whether that matters, but these guys were consuming a lot of caffeine. And basically these guys came in 3 different times to do the same test with 3 different conditions, either a placebo with no caffeine, 9 milligrams per kilo, which is a lot, or 11 milligrams per kilo, which is even more. Just for reference, I'm 110 kilos. If I would have participated in this study, I would have consumed basically 1,200 milligrams of caffeine in one sitting. Nothing like pounding 4 bangs before you go bench press. But in this study, they came in for those 3 different sessions, and each session they did a 1 rep max on bench press and then a 50% 1 rep max endurance test where they just did reps to failure. And in this study, they found those extremely high doses of caffeine did not improve 1 rep max for muscular endurance compared to the placebo. What about in women? Here we have 21 resistance trained women doing basically the same thing, except for with more of a reasonable dose of caffeine, either placebo, 3 milligrams per kilo, or 6 milligrams per kilo. These were also habitual caffeine consumers, and here we actually found increases in 1 rep max strength in response to both the 3 and 6 milligrams per kilo. And the 6 had a higher 1 rep max than the 3, but no improvements for endurance. What about those same tests in women who consume a little bit less caffeine per day, but on a leg press? Here we see more reps to failure with caffeine, but not more strength, which is actually a recurring theme. We don't seem to see the same improvements in upper and lower body movements. As far as whether consuming caffeine all the time desensitizes you to it, maybe in the way you perceive it, but doesn't seem to desensitize you to the acute effects as far as training. Some other random research, we see some strength benefits in rugby players, as well as some power metrics. And regardless of how much of a performance improvement there really is, seems like we can elicit it with as little as 1 to 2 milligrams per kilo. Also, the International Society of Sports Nutrition has a position to stand supporting its potential benefit for strength and endurance. So is caffeine BS? No. The exact benefit seems to vary between people and exercises, but likely a good option at the very least for the mental benefits.